Hello, friends. So, I want to talk about creating effortless change. So, not creating forceful change, not creating change for change's sake, but how to really actually create change in a way that feels really effortless. So, before we really get into how to even really undo that, we need to understand who we are and how we operate, because I am the first one here to tell you that we're all different and we all don't operate in the same way. We don't all have consistency. We don't all have consistent discipline. We don't all have consistent motivation. So we really have to take a look at who am I and how am I meant to work and how do I unravel, right? Even if we just go from and again, of course, speaking from a human design perspective, from an energy type point of view, the way that a generator and a manifesting generator are going to get the energy to actually create change is through their body saying yes to something and not initiating, but having something to respond to. A projector is going to find a clear runway when they're invited into something. Now, I just want to be super clear too on something with the sweet dear projectors, that invitations don't always come from somebody else, right? An invitation doesn't have to come from another person saying, hey, I invite you into XYZ, or do you want to do this? Or can I get your feedback on this? Or blah, 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 blah. Do you want to move? Da, 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 da. An invitation can come from an email, a follow, or whatever. However, it also can come from the universe, from your highest self, from God, from the universe. An invitation can come from the divine. So if you have this like deep desire that comes through to reach out to somebody, I would ask you to trust that and to see where it goes without attachment, and just allowing it to go wherever it's going to go, and just be like, okay, cool. Like I had this like real big desire, this nudge, this ping to do this. So I'm going to follow it and see where it leads, right? Manifestors, you need that urge. You can't force yourself into an urge. So you first need the urge, and to get the urge, you need to rest. So you need to have space between urges to have the urges to come through. And reflectors, you have to be in the right environment, right? You need to be around the right people. If you're always feeling like you want to pull away from the world, well, it's going to be difficult to create change because you actually don't feel good in your environment. And therefore, the change that actually needs to occur is to change your environment. So that's just from like an energy type perspective. And this is where you can start to see how human design is very layered and how it all plays together. And to go really more detailed into your own design, I suggest, I invite you into either doing a session with somebody to do that for yourself, or to join a course. You could join the Align Human Design course. You could do a session with me. You could also buy some books or look at courses online. They're not all created equally, in my opinion. And you have to find the one that resonates, right? The way that I portray human design and explain it may resonate with some and may not resonate with others. And so it's finding the right fit for you so that you're able to truly receive the information in the way you're meant to. All right. So that's just like a base level. So that can just show you just right off the bat how we all do change a little bit differently, right? And how it's going to look a little bit different. And so if you're somebody who is judging somebody's either inaction or forceful action or your own, let's take a step back and just take a breath and start to look at just like focus on you for a second and see how the rest of everything else can unfold. Because I get it. I have been there, and sometimes I find myself there too, like even now, but definitely in the past, I was in a massive, just like judging everybody for what they were doing or not doing and how they weren't following my advice, and very projectory of me. And so to create effortless change, we first need to understand how we move about the world, right? So understanding our energy type, understanding our strategy. Then we must also understand how we go about the world. So are we somebody who likes routine or not? And not even likes it. Sorry, that was a bad word. Not likes it is actually supported by it. Are you somebody who actually having a routine enriches your life? It supports you. It helps you move through the world in a way that feels really good and grounded and centered. Or are you somebody who's like, routine, I know I'm supposed to have one, and yet I can never make myself do it all the time because it feels forced and it doesn't feel good. And I've done it for 66 days, or I've done it for 3 months, and it just always feels hard. Well, it's not supposed to feel hard, because I'm also here to tell you, not everybody's set up for routine. And then it's also understanding, are you somebody who has consistent motivation? Do you have consistent willpower? Are you somebody who makes a decision and it's not hard to stick to it because you're like, yeah, well, duh, that's what I said I was going to do, so I'm going to do it? Or are you somebody that even though you make the decision to do something, you still find it difficult, even though your heart is fully in it, you find it difficult to show up and do every day, every day, every day, right? So it's important to understand that, because that's going to play into how the change is actually implemented, and if it is able to have a full lifespan or if it's going to be cut short, right? Because if you're somebody who thinks you're supposed to be consistent and that you're supposed to have willpower and that you're supposed to be motivated all the time, and you see the change and you're going to make the change, and then you don't stick with the change 100% of the time, well, you may get down on yourself and then say like, well, forget it. Here I am again, like not doing the thing that I said I would need to do, or I know I need to do. And so like, you know what, I'm just going to like walk away from it. Right. Instead of understanding, oh, I'm just in a lull, so I'm going to give myself this space and permission to walk away from this thing for a day. And then I'm going to get back into it. And maybe I just need like a little bit of space to acquire more energy, or to acquire space, because in that space, something's going to drop in that's going to make the thing even more enriched, or even more put together, or even more beautiful. And it's allowing yourself to know this about yourself, to give yourself permission to live in the way that you're meant to live, so that you can have the life you're meant to have, right? So living in your design, living to your own authentic blueprint, leads you to the life that you're meant to have. And there's all this conditioning, there are all these beliefs that we have, and we've either graciously and willingly taken on, or have been put on us throughout our life, that says, this is how you're supposed to show up. This is how you're supposed to do life. This is how you're supposed to do things. And I'm here to tell you that those may not be true for you. And so let's actually understand what is true for you, so that you can live to that and let go of the stuff that's not working for you, so that you can live more in satisfaction, in peace, in success, in like surprise and delight, than you're living in anger and frustration and bitterness and disappointment, right? Because like that feels like a way better way to live to me. So understanding all of that, and then my favorite way to create change is through not creating change at all. I love bringing awareness, conscious awareness, into the spaces and places of my life where I feel like maybe I do want to create change. So if I'm somebody who's like, yeah, I know in my life, I know in my heart, I know in my soul that I want to meditate every night. Great. Well, I'm not if I'm downstairs watching TV at night and that's feeling good at the moment, I'm not going to force myself to go upstairs. I've done that and it doesn't actually work long-term for me. So instead, I'm just going to become super aware of the fact that, oh, I'm choosing right now to actually watch TV instead of meditate. Okay, cool. And then I'm going to go about my day. And if I at some point feel like, okay, you know what, I actually don't really want to watch this anymore and I want to go meditate, I'm going to go do it. But if I don't feel that, and by the time I stop watching, I'm too tired to meditate, I'm going to go about my life the way that I'm going to go about it, with the awareness of my interactions with the world, with how I'm feeling, with how things are going, and what I did or did not do. Right. So that's how I go about creating change, because when I do that day in and day out, when I don't create change, when all these things occur, then maybe by the third day, by the fourth day, maybe by week 1, week 2, it actually becomes too uncomfortable to not do the thing, because I'm so aware of what I'm doing, but what my soul is calling me to do, and how that actually isn't making me feel any better. And when I do the other thing, that actually feels really empowering. And you can use this for anything. I'm just using a very recent example, actually. But I have clients who have used this for making decisions that have the inner knowing gate. And, one of the examples was, I had a client who woke up one morning, was like, I don't want to go to work. Like it has nothing, like I can't, like, I don't want to, it's nothing to do with what I need to do in my life right now. And yet she forced herself to go, and it was not a great day. And nothing went well. It was really hard. It was forceful, and it didn't feel good. And so the next time, but she had a conscious awareness around it. We talked about it. And then the next time it happened, she was like, you know what? I'm actually not going to work today. Like, we did this last time. It didn't feel good. So this time I'm not doing it. And she didn't go to work, and she had the best day. Everything unfolded so effortlessly. It felt so good. And you know what? She actually got work done at the end of the day, and basically got everything she would have done during the day done in like a really short amount of time. So this is really also teaching you. So it's not only about creating change, but it also starts to teach you about your own intuition, and starts to build that trust muscle in teaching and following your own intuition, because then you start to see where it's leading and how it's leading and what it's leading you to. And there's 2 bald eagles that are flying outside my window right now. And like, hello, like, this is just another, like, oh my gosh, there's 4 birds. And I don't know if the other 2 are also, they might be ravens. Anyway, all of that to say, this is a great way to create effortless change, because it's not forcing the change to happen. It's allowing it to happen naturally. And when it happens naturally, when it happens because it's welling up with inside of you, and it's coming from this motivational place, it's coming from this pure place that's feeling super aligned. And you're not doing it because so-and-so said that you're supposed to do it this way, but you're doing it because your whole being is saying, we have to. That makes it so much easier to do. Right. And then it's understanding that if you're somebody who's not motivated all the time, well, you may not show up to do it every day, or you may show up to do it in a different way every day. And it doesn't always look the same. Or maybe it's not always at the same time. It just depends on what is going on in your chart. So I would invite you to try this out. I would invite you to invite conscious awareness into your life, especially into the places and spaces where you feel like you think you want to create change, and just allow that awareness to be there, and see how that awareness starts to shift things for you naturally. And where you aren't able to do things that you would have been able to do before, or you are able to shift into like doing the thing that you want to do because it actually feels really good now. It feels easy. It feels fun. It feels effortless. And so it may take a day. It may take a week. It may take a couple of weeks, depending on how ingrained you are in a certain place, to make the awareness so big that you no longer can avoid it. You no longer can just be like, you know what, you just go over here. I'm going to like watch one more episode, or whatever your thing is. That's where I tend to go, is to TV. So I hope this is helpful. If you are wanting to dive into your own, to understand where you fall into from a consistency standpoint, discipline standpoint, willpower, motivation standpoint, your type, your strategy, how all of this works together for you, I would invite you into looking at potentially doing a session, and you can find the link in the caption to this video. And, or I invite you into the Align Health and Human Design course, which is a self-paced course. And we go into all of this stuff. Actually, we go into your energy type, and we go into how you make decisions. So what's going on in your heart or in your chart. We go into motivation and consistency and fears and all sorts of things. And that is self-paced. And there's a monthly live Q&A call. So you get to ask your questions live to myself and to Leah on Zoom, and we can troubleshoot. We can talk about whatever is coming up from a health or human design perspective. And likely it's both. They're usually like tied together, and troubleshoot from there. And it's a incredible course. So whichever one feels best for you. I know for me, a lot of times I'm like, I want the one-on-one support because I just want to know about me. I don't want to know about anybody else. I just want to know about me. Maybe that's a very projector thing. But the course is beautiful because you can use it for yourself. You can use it for your family, for your friends, for, your kids, anybody that you have their chart. You can be like, oh, I totally understand you more now. So with all that being said, I would love to know how this resonates, or what happens once you try it out, and how things shift for you. And I hope that you guys have the most beautiful day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.